evening and welcome to the March 27th, 2023 meeting of the ARPA Committee. We do have a quorum present, so we will begin. And first thing, do we have any minutes?
I didn't distribute them last week, so I'll get them out for next week.
Okay. All right, so last week we talked about the Sachem trails and the sidewalk on Union Street. And we told the presenters and the supporters of the request that we would vote on them this week. So, does anyone have any discussion about the trails, Sachem Rock trails?
I wasn't at the meeting, but I watched it, and I think I love the idea. Like it was said, so many people use them. Would be nice if it was something we could do.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think it's a really good project, and I also think that they've done wonders with volunteers, so whatever they come back with for request, I'm sure that they'll either supplement it with volunteers or be able to work with the numbers or whatever we give them.
And it sounded like John Haynes was willing to work with them
Yeah.
as well, which was nice.
And they'll get people from town who aren't even involved with the Friends of the Trails, I'm sure.
Yep. Anybody else? Anybody want to make a motion?
To make a motion to accept or recommend them.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous among the five of us? All right, so the second one is the, we have to read this, I don't remember. Sidewalks on Union Street. So, any discussion about that?
That was another one I wasn't here for, but I watched. I was at the same meeting. And it was interesting because when we got it, I wasn't sure how much, research had been. I wasn't sure if it was just a citizen that said, oh, I'd really like to have a sidewalk here. But listening to John Haynes talk about it made it all seem a lot more viable. That was just, it was nice to get that background.
It was good to hear the purpose of adding the sidewalks to the town, to try to kind of bring people to the town.
I agree, yeah.
I liked that.
Make it more walkable to get downtown, to go from.
And get people out walking and
Exactly.
just kind of, going up to the Y and coming back downtown and all of
Yeah.
that. I thought it was great.
Yeah, he was really able to pull it all
Yeah.
together for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I think what you guys have said is, the perspective he put on it wasn't just, all right, so we're doing a mile of sidewalk on the street. This fits in with the plan that the town has been working on for
Right.
many years,
Yep.
Exactly.
and is part of where we want to go in the future.
Good to hear and important to hear.
Right.
I agree.
Anybody else? Anyone want to make a motion?
A motion to recommend.
One second.
Okay, Dan and Ken made and seconded the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
And unanimous among the five. All right, there's two more to recommend to the board. And the next thing,
Had we recommended the, which one is it? The repurpose and renovation of the of the courts at Church Street?
I don't believe we have.
I couldn't remember what we were waiting on for that.
As of February 7th, we had decided, the last status I have on it is invite John Shea back for status.
Okay.
So actually, I'm going to invite him for that one. I have him down.
Just because I know that's one that there's other funding, I believe, already for.
There is.
So that, I was just wanted to bring it up so we could keep it moving if there's already, I think we already have state funding and capital, but I could be mixing up projects.
That was Church Street, right?
Yeah, the basketball court. They got, and I have a folder for it, I could run and get it if we need to, but they did get, I think, 55,000 as an earmark. And I wanna say it was capital
I got
last year.
55K from the state, a $40,000 article in the
Yes.
town budget.
Yep,
Right, and this
so this
is
would be really to
supplement that
to supplement
95,000. and put it
that
on
and
top.
really complete it, and I think, I don't know what we need from John, but just if he needs to come back to try to do it sooner rather than later, because it'd be great if it would be a project that could be worked on this spring for the, upcoming spring, summer, fall.
Yep. All right, so, I mean,
I just
My
can't
suggestion
remember
is
what
if
we
we're
were
going-
waiting for from him.
pardon me,
What were we waiting for?
on this particular one,
Yeah,
I mean, it's a month and a half since we've talked about it, so I don't remember how the fact that
They
we
said
needed
that he was
something.
working with National Grid on a similar project, and
That's the
that's
LED.
the
think we're trying to
lighting,
get-
though, I think that's
yeah.
a separate
That
one.
was the
Separate.
lighting. I think. What I have done for him to come back next week would be the two entrances, these two courts, the LED lighting, the concession and storage shed, and drainage on the softball field, and the school pickup truck. I think that'll make a whole meeting of him.
Okay,
And if we can get the police department here on the premium pay thing, hopefully next week, do that. I had called them, left a message again yesterday, but haven't heard back from them.
Can you just read those again so I can put them in?
yeah,
All right, so the school entrances, two-court renovation, LED lighting, Little League concession, storage shed, drainage on the softball field, and
pickup truck, right?
school pickup. All right, so I think that'll make more than a full meeting, or at least a full meeting next week.
Have we confirmed
But
that
John-
date with him, or do you want me to reach out? I know he's away the next.
If you wanna reach out, I'd take it off my plate, I'll be happy. I'll be happy.
That would be Tuesday,
4th?
sure.
Yeah, the 4th.
On Tuesday.
So that's a conflict for Dan
Dave,
and Dave.
and I would be at whichever one needed me the most.
I really like to try and keep them going.
Oh, no, I
And
understand.
I think John does a good job of,
What about that Monday night is, okay. What time's Board of Health on Monday? Are they, are they in the same room? Could we do after Board of Health, do you think?
we fit in 6 to 7.
They're usually quick, right? Is anyone available Monday?
I believe so.
I can, double check.
You have nothing keeping you busy at home, right?
no, not a single thing.
I have a conflict on Monday
Okay,
at 6. So Wednesday, is that good for everybody?
I mean, next week's not good. In fact, next 2 weeks aren't good.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 4th.
Not on the town calendar. The town calendar says the 29th.
No, this is next Wednesday. That's tomorrow.
The month went pretty fast.
Wow.
It really did.
So do you want to do it Wednesday, or you can keep it Tuesday and I can miss, it doesn't matter.
Does matter,
Well, I just can't be in 2 places at once.
I know, I understand.
Or a little earlier on Tuesday, I don't know.
Can we do 5 o'clock on Tuesday?
I don't know. if
I know some
we can do
people
any
work.
earlier.
I'm not one of them.
I can do 5 o'clock, that's fine.
I can do 5.
I can do 5.
I can't do
You
five.
Next week.
I can't do 5 on Monday. That doesn't matter.
Well, let's leave it open for now. Maybe do it, plan the following week, because we still don't know if John Shea can make it either.
Sure. So, the 11th,
Yep.
I can't make it that night.
No, and if it's school committee,
I've been
John
working
can't
on-
make it, so. Do we want to try for 5 on Tuesday, even though we know one, but the majority can make it? Where all the other times it was multiple people that couldn't make it? I don't mean to exclude you, obviously, but
So that's 5, next Tuesday or the
if, next Tuesday, if John can make it.
Okay. Let's do that. Get it posted, then we can adjust. All right, next thing, I think we should talk about is any update on K's Trucking from, anything we're expecting back from them, Melanie?
I think I had sent you over the balance sheet that they had sent me. I don't know if that got sent out. Let me check
I don't know
on
if I
that.
got
I
that.
think I thought I had sent it.
I know we
Or maybe I
received one.
requested it and they haven't sent it to me.
I thought they had sent it to you. That was what I had.
Yeah, they had sent me a balance sheet as of 12/31/22, so I can forward that to everybody, and if, I think I just sent it to John. We can take a look at that.
So, is there anything else that we need to get from them to move forward with that?
It's really hard to say. If we moved forward with it, there'd be a lot that we'd have to do as far as subrecipient agreements. I think one of my concerns is the financial position of the company, not just from COVID, but in general. I just would like to see that, it's hard to say that COVID caused the difficulties if we can't see a history of, okay, so they say they had 5 years in a row where they showed a profit. COVID came, they had 3 years in a row or 2 years in a row where they had losses, and then once things eased up a little, they started having a profit again. Then, maybe it's, okay, it was COVID, but I don't know that, we don't right now, but I don't know what we could get from them to show differently. I don't know if anyone thinks that matters. That's my thought on it.
I think it's a good rule, or a valid rule. COVID caused this impact on their business.
Right. If it's not a sustainable business, COVID or not, then giving them part of the ARPA funding isn't, that's not going to help them in the long run. And is that a good use of our funds? But it involve diving in a little deeper to their records.
What kind of history do we have on them? I don't remember.
We really don't
much.
have much. They actually weren't incorporated until
That's right.
further into COVID. Now, the date is, I don't know if it was the end of 21 or the end of 22.
Filed an LLC in December 21.
21. So prior to that, I think they operated, I think they said they got 1099s from companies that hired them to do work for them.
So we got their financials for 2022,
We have a balance sheet
Just a
at
balance sheet.
22, yes.
right?
We got income statement too, right?
I can't remember which
I
date.
think we got the income statement, but didn't get the balance.
Yeah, we
Right,
did
we
get
got
it.
Because that would have shown their debt.
I just can't remember which date they gave it to us, but
I mean, could we even get like January, February, and March, just to see what the trends are?
mhm,
Maybe that would be something
yeah.
that they could supply to us.
They were in business about 5 years, right?
Mm.
But LLC in 2021.
mhm. Yeah, so I don't know if we want to go,
ARPA is not here to replenish lost revenue, correct?
nope, sorry. I'm very weary of this one. I
Right.
don't-
I just feel like it's more like trying to make up the
It-
lost
it-
revenue.
It was, I mean, part of ARPA
Maybe else
was
was
to
missing
get,
vote.
to help small businesses that were hurt by ARPA. I'm just worried about being able to do the due diligence to really show that it was COVID that impacted the business.
See, I had the impression that their expense, the money, their deficit was more just from operating expenses?
Yes.
As
what it looked like
opposed
to
to
me.
borrowing for
It was,
assets or whatever?
it was operating
was gas
expenses due to,
mostly.
and then because of a decrease in revenues.
Hmm. Which is still debt,
Yes.
you know, so, yeah.
What do we need to do to assess whether, you know, if COVID caused a drop in their profitability,
I think we'd have
revenues?
to probably see, even go as far as to get, when, before they were in LLC, a couple years of tax, you know, what they filed for their taxes, and then balance sheet, income statement, taxes for 2021, and then 22 if they filed.
We confirmed that they received no PPE funds, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's strange, though. Everybody applied for PPE.
but they
money.
weren't,
Business.
they weren't a business.
That's why I feel like it
When-
doesn't really falls into the category.
They were a
for this.
DBA.
They were,
They
it
were
sounds
running a
like, I
business.
think it was like a Schedule C business, they were receiving a 1099.
Sole proprietors could apply for PPP. money.
Sure, everybody
Yeah,
did.
so then, I
I just
believe
find
that
that
was,
strange, because it was so easy to get that money.
right. They might not have had anyone advising them
Yeah.
about it, I don't know.
So, I mean, I'm not a business person per se, or accounting, so I'm not sure what the next step is, so I'm kind of looking at you, Melanie, or if anyone else has expertise there.
I agree with Melanie. That's exactly the steps that we would take in a situation like this, is to get really good financials and dig deep into it. I mean, you had mentioned, John, you know, small business, they need help. We all know that. They're in the town. Who wouldn't want to help them?
Right.
But, you know, the right thing to do is to get tax returns,
And get
see what was
some more
filed.
documents.
And, you know, again, the follow-up, as you mentioned too, after, if they did get this funds,
Mhm.
there's a lot of work to that even after they get the funds, right?
Right.
That's part of the
And I do
sword
have to
that's hanging
talk-
over our head too, if we do this. I mean, they made it clear, the Plymouth County guys, they really don't recommend doing it. but,
Right. Charlie, do you have any thoughts on this? I don't know how. Is it? Okay.
so, would you be the one, Melanie, to reach out to them and
Yeah, that's
understand
fine.
could you understand what we're looking for?
Yeah, and Gigi, if you want to email me too and kind of tell me what you,
Sure.
and I'll cross-reference that with what I was gonna ask for and make sure I'm not missing anything.
And should we get all this and then invite them back after we've analyzed it, or should we invite them back and
Let's get it and then figure out from there, because I don't, depending on what we get, will be depending on what time we need to take a look at it and everything.
Okay.
Small businesses can have, sometimes it can be difficult to go through their records because they're not, it's a small business, it's
Right.
not, their expertise isn't always
not every I is dotted or
bookkeeping
T
and,
crossed?
yeah, so.
All right, anybody have any other thoughts on K's? All right, that one's a little controversial, but Charlie, signs? At one point, I think we were gonna have the Board of Selectmen coordinate the 3 signs, or whatever number of signs we're gonna end up with.
I don't think they've not talked about this. I'll write a note now. Basically, you're looking for the board to weigh in as to how many signs they think are appropriate.
It's not so much that we're looking for, there's 2 entities from the school department
Right.
plus the town, each of them looking for one of the 3 signs. We already have a couple of signs in different places, and
The 2 for.
part of it should be, do we really need 5 signs or 6 signs? I think it's 5 signs to be the
Yeah.
total.
Yep.
And,
One at the elementary school, one at the middle school. We want one here at Town Hall.
Yes,
That would take us to 5.
Right, and there's
Right,
already
because
2 at the high
it's-
school.
With the junior, senior, right.
right.
because it's different entrances, one of 18 and one of
Right.
that way.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and then you think about that, just devil's advocate here, though I also really believe in it. You got somebody driving by the town hall, it's gonna drive by the middle school, it's gonna drive by the central
Yes.
school in the same half mile,
Right.
right? So do we really need
And
3
the-
signs along there, or should?
And therefore, and part of the question would be, the school signs for right now are the schools. I'm not gonna argue that point.
Right.
But basically, I think any sign, I would certainly recommend to the board that any sign, that additional sign, whether it's a school sign or a town sign, if we're going to add them, have to be far more open. At the starting point, for all the school and town departments. And then certainly, I know the school is very leery of posting anything from outside entities, even nonprofits, community groups. My philosophy on that is we're open, on the town hall side.
Right,
It's something the board would work through, so let me write that, okay?
okay. And the other thing is I think we should shoot for some uniformity, right? So, one sign isn't, number one, no one sign isn't $80,000,
Yeah.
another one's $40,000, another's something else.
So I think I need to talk to Brian and John and them.
Right.
They must have come in with different estimates.
It's not just the cost, but also the format should be uniform,
Yeah,
so that when people glance at it,
They know
they'll
what
pick
to
up
look
right
at.
away what they need to know. Thank you for following up on that.
sure.
And that, my friends, is pretty much what I wanted to talk about tonight. Does anybody have anything else that they'd like to bring up that we've missed?
I just want to note that Charlie did bring up to the board last night, the idea of moving forward with the mental health salary money for the school, department, and I think the idea is they will end up probably having some sort of special meeting in the next week or so and would vote on that. So that could be our project voted by the board. And we had kind of pushed that forward as part, because of the working on the operating budget.
Okay. That was good work, Charlie. It doesn't surprise me at all, though.
Yeah, well, it's difficult because, and taken at face value, it's a budget gimmick. Basically, we'll worry about what happens in 2 years. But I'll take care of our operating budget woes right now. And on the other hand, even though it's an operating expense, it's right in the wheelhouse of what ARPA was meant to be.
Right.
And look at the priorities. This was something that they were really pointing at, even though it's an operating expense. I think the question's going to be, when we get a couple of years down the road, is the need still there? I'm sure there'll be arguments about that, but we'll have those arguments at that point, and then we'll also make a decision, basically in 2 years, is that a priority or something else a priority? Even inside the school department, they're gonna, they may have to make a decision that if we only have a certain amount of money, whether they wanna continue to fund this service, or they wanna fund something else, because we'll have limited funds at some point. We won't be able to say yes to everything.
Right. No, I agree. In 2 years, someone will have to make the assessment, can we still afford to pay these salaries?
And it's, we had, and when CARES ended and we got the ESSER funds, the ESSER funds were used to fund a lot of these positions, and, obviously we funded the positions. We didn't say, oh, well, in 2 years, we won't have the money for these, so let's just, not take those ESSER funds. And so now we're seeing the ESSER funds are gone away, so now we're trying to use ARPA to hold on to the positions for at least 2 more years. Obviously needed in the schools, and like Charlie said, and in 2 years, we'll have to figure out what to do there. It'd be great if more federal funding comes in, because there's, across the board seeing the need for these positions, but at this point, we don't know of any.
I think we've seen this scenario over the last few decades.
Yep.
We play itself over and over again, it works itself out one way or another. But, like you say, we gotta deal with the stuff today.
Yep,
Right.
Don't give up on something just because in 2 years we can't do it anymore.
right, especially
That was a
when,
good point.
you said, I think it's the need, what, in the wheelhouse of ARPA, and
Anything else?
Just on the,
Yeah, thank you.
the thing I sent out.
Yep.
I just wanted to preface it by saying that I really feel that the pavilion is a great idea and should be built, but I had trouble bridging the gap between what I see as just a ballpark figure and what they're asking for. And I also don't, one of the things I question is I went through all of these, and we have quotes for most of our estimates backing up the request, and there's nothing for that. And I think that we should get more on that, because I think it's a great project that should be pushed forward, but I think we need more backup on the estimate.
I think his pushback on that was that he doesn't have the funding to get a feasibility study done, which he'd be required to do for procurement.
Is that necessary? Because I looked through the general laws, and it seems
don't
like
know. I'm
you
just-
have to have a scope of work, a written scope of work.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to have a schematic. Yeah,
Well,
correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know, but you.
I mean, setting aside the legalities on the practicality, you can have a scope of work, but the problem is, you're going to have to be able to answer all the questions a contractor would have coming in. What materials specifically are you using to build? And you need to have you're not building a building, you're building a pavilion, but nevertheless, the concern is the same, unless you tell the contractor specifically what materials are going to be used, what are the standards that are gonna be used. You're gonna get a variety of bids, and you may end up with a bid that you're gonna have to do low bid, and you end up with something that I actually didn't want you to do that, or it's sub-quality in terms of the materials.
now, one thing too and they made a comment that I hadn't thought of, and it is really wet over there. Is that
Some
gonna
spots.
be an issue, or is there, a spot that's, and how would we evaluate
There were
that?
two areas ID'd by Nancy, and one is sloping, and it's not as wet as the other.
Okay,
So the one to the west side of the garden
mhm,
is drier than to the east side. There's a
Okay.
big puddle there, the dogs love it.
yeah,
They're
no,
always muddy.
I've gone through some areas where I didn't realize, and all of a sudden I'm, in this deep of water.
You know, Charlie, in answer to your, what you were just saying on that, again, you know, I'm an open slate when I'm looking at this, so I don't know all the ins and outs and everything else, but what I saw is that you don't necessarily need a schematic. You need an engineer to just draw up a plan. Okay, and what I saw on these places that I dealt into is that they talk about using cedar or pressure treated or whatever. Okay, so there's your materials. They talk about, you know, 8x8 uprights, 4x4 uprights or whatever, and pitch roof, steel. You know, so a lot of that stuff, I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here.
Right.
You know, there's been pavilions being built for a long time.
If there have been, you know, I'm very happy now to reinvent the wheel. If we can steal from somebody else, I'm happy to do so.
So let me ask this, so we say we give them $600,000 and say, okay, build a pavilion. That's not like giving them a blank check where they can go out, write it out to whoever they wanted to, they still have to go through
They
the
have-
bidding process.
Anything that we're buying, whether, so a capital expense in general, unless it's on the state bid list, will have to go through procurement. Smaller amounts require less stringent procurement stipulations, you know, steps, so that, you know, depending on how much it's gonna cost, something might cost 25, we're gonna deal with that differently than we're gonna do something for 250, for instance. And it will depend on whether it's a building or public works project, or if it's a material or supply. But in all cases, they're gonna have to follow state procurement law. As it is, you know, once we get to a certain point, I'm gonna have to do the research and make sure whether there are any federal laws we're gonna have to follow, because we're using federal money also. I know that could be a concern, because we don't want to get audited 2 years from now and find out, well, yes, you followed the state procurement laws, but you're gonna now, you know, you didn't hit this spot on the federal list either.
So just to clarify that in my head, so what we're saying is, again, they're looking for $600,000.
Yes.
And we say we recommend to the Board of Selectmen,
Yes.
they approve it. The Board of Selectmen's gonna approve it or not approve it.
Right.
Say if they approve it still, it's not like that $600,000 is going out the window. They're gonna have to follow all,
Yes.
they're gonna have to go out and do the bidding, get the schematics, get the, whatever else it is you need to do to build something in town, and go jump through those hoops. It's just, we're just saying, we think this is a good idea for
Right.
the town. This is money that we could allocate toward it if you can get through all this other process. I mean, does that make sense?
I agree with you to a point, but I guess what I'm getting at is, what is that $625,000 gonna be for? Are we gonna have gold-plated faucets? You know, are we gonna have, you know, wooden benches? You know, so I mean, there's a degree in there. It's not just, you know what I'm saying there?
Yeah,
Well, and then.
There's nothing to back it up
But
right
who-
now.
who's
You
goes-
know, you were mentioning not reinventing the wheel. Have they brought in examples to say, look, Andover did this, or Arlington did this, or Abington did this, here are pavilions that have been built in the last couple of years, this is what we're aiming for, so that we're not buying gold-plated boxes.
Well, if they came back and they had something from Andover or Framingham, whatever, that was $635,000, there'd be no question.
Right.
You know, it's like, this is what it costs. I mean,
Yeah.
I dug up some stuff. They haven't presented
Yeah.
anything concrete that I'm aware of.
The only thing they compared it to was the commercial club, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
That was built, you know,
Years ago.
40,
Right.
40 plus years ago.
Well, my time.
Yeah, so that was the only thing that I remember them
Let me
to say.
send a note
Just-
to Brian and to Nancy, saying, can you point at something, not the commercial club, and they can use a commercial club as an example,
Yeah.
but you're saying, built to 2023 standards.
Yeah,
Right.
because what
Something current.
the prices that you had emailed us was $500,000 off. You know?
Yeah, but that
Yeah,
was a
and I
different
understand,
building.
yeah, I understand, that gap is gonna be shrunk by, you know,
Mhm.
your site work and any ADA, you know, and lots of little
Yeah.
things, so, but it just shows you there's quite a gap.
There's a big gap as well,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just like, and I know at least one of them I saw included electrical, which they had mentioned. electrical setup, and it's like, okay, well, it's a big gap if it's got everything that they're looking for, you know?
But even like the electrical work on that, on the thing, and it was a great thing that you did. It really got me thinking, but the electrical work on that is like the 20 by 40 going to 60 by 40.
Right.
It's like 3 times,
Mhm.
whatever you're saying for that is, everything's gonna be 3 times more than
What I did is, I took, just for instance, I wanted to prove to myself that I wasn't making a mistake saying that. And so I took the 18 by 36 of one style, the 20 by 40 of another style, and tried to come up with a figure, and I divided it by the number of square feet and multiplied it by the 2,400 that we would have with a new one. So there's a considerable difference between what you saw on those quotes and what we would end up with. I think one of them was like 44,000. Well, you multiply that by 3 because of the square footage. So, you know, it gives you an estimate
Right.
more than anything else. I'm,
at least an idea or a picture
Yeah.
in your mind.
and, you know, again, you've got all sorts of labor, you've got shipping, you've got numerous things, but show me.
So I think if we, Charlie follows up, I know he will follow up, when Charlie follows up with other examples, we get something from the area that we, realistic.
'Cause bottom
Than the
line,
nothing we have.
I think it's a great project.
Yeah, I do too.
It's, you know, I think it'll be like everything else down there. It'll grow in utilization, just like the senior center has.
I would love to see more community events there. It's very much, you know, a lot of senior events, but I would love to see it also being used, I think, as the community center was intended to be.
Right, I think that definitely was the intention
Right,
when it was bought and put in
Right.
place. Okay. Anybody, any more on Council on Aging Pavilion? Anything else?
But just to be fair, anybody who hasn't given us an estimate on what they requested, maybe we should ask for it. Just to be fair to them.
Yeah.
You know, I think there are a few that there's nothing to back up what we're being requested.
I agree.
Excuse me?
I agree with him.
Yep. So,
I think at a certain point too, though, we gotta get some of these over to the Board of Selectmen to keep.
we're up to 12 now, I think, with the 2 we did today. That's over a third, almost.
Close to half.
Hmm?
Like, what was it,
27
total? Yeah.
I think 26 because the Robbins Pond thing's not happening. Right, so entertain a motion if no one has anything else to add.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Is that a second, Nadia?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned.
Thank you.